Hello people, and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is 𝚏𝚙𝚒𝚗𝚎, and here on this channel I talk about whatever I want while I do my makeup. I know I look scary. I know, but there's a reason for this. Also, if you hear any noise in the background, I have a show playing while I get ready for the day. So my last video that I posted about Nomad Cosmetics and my first impression of the 4 palettes, I got some interactions that I wasn't necessarily expecting. Not only did I get a comment on my last video asking me to do some looks with the palettes, which was already in mind, I decided to prioritize doing those looks instead of my other videos. I pushed all of these looks to the forefront. Nomad Cosmetics themselves actually contacted me on Instagram and were very appreciative of my video, and we're very excited to see what I do with these palettes. So today we're gonna be playing with one. The palette I chose today is the Chicago Speakeasy palette, and I have a couple of reasons as to why I chose this palette over the other 3. My makeup look for New Year's Eve was going to be using this palette, and also I was just really excited about the purples that I showed you guys in the last video. And so I am going to be doing a look with the purples. I'm also going to be doing a wear test for these shadows. I do have to work today, so I'm going to be heading to work, and then when I get off work I will come back and show you how well not only these shadows perform, as you're about to see, but how well they wore over the course of about 8 hours. So as you can already tell, I've already done my base as well as my skin prep, which includes moisturizer, SPF, because vampires are not supposed to be in the sun. And I also put on primer, and then my base is just my foundations, concealer, powder, blush, contour, and highlight. The only thing that I did do differently is I put primer on my left eye. Ignore the broken nail. I slammed my finger in the car door last night. Did not feel very good, but luckily just the nail popped off and I didn't break my actual nail. She will be getting fixed later today. As I was saying, I've already put primer on my left eye, and I did not put primer on my right eye because I want to see how these shadows wear with and without primer. So that was the reason for me doing that. I also do want to mention this video is not a tutorial by any means, but in one of the corners I will have a pop-up of the palette and what color I'm using as I go along. I am really excited for this look today. I have been waiting to use these palettes mostly because I wanted to make sure that I used them on camera. I do want to say that while I don't want to say that I have super high expectations for these palettes, I do have these standard expectations for any eyeshadow palette, which is pigmentation, as well as blendability, opacity. You don't want very sheer shadows. You don't want them to sheer out as you apply them. I'm not saying any brand in particular, but I have had those issues before where you apply the shadow and then you start blending it out and all of a sudden she's gone. She's not there. She has left the building. I do also really quickly want to mention the reason that I picked these purples and the colors that I picked in this palette to begin with. Any shade mixed with white and deeper blue shades, purple shades, and neon shades, because neon shades are also mixed with white, are very difficult shades to formulate because of the way that they are manufactured. Mixing things with white, you still want to be able to keep the opacity while being able to lighten the shade. And as everyone knows, the darker the shade, typically the harder it is to blend out. Everyone that wears makeup has at some point or another tried to blend out a black eyeshadow, and you can't tell me you haven't. And you also can't tell me that it worked out for you as well. One of the things I do want to mention for people. Some people don't care. I typically don't care because it's not like it's a waste for me. But the shadows do have a little bit of kickback in the pan, and they do have a little bit of fallout on the cheek. Like, I don't know if you can see there, I do have a little bit of fallout. That really doesn't bother me. I just take a big fluffy brush and wipe it away. And the kickback doesn't necessarily bother me either. I don't see it as a big deal. I will say I am really liking the way that these colors blend into each other. They're very pigmented and they just go on so easily. They blend really nicely, which I appreciate, especially with purples. I don't know if I said this already, but if I did, I apologize. I really don't wear a lot of purple shades, if at all. Purple is just really not my jam. As I already stated, I did want to try out these purples. One, because I thought they would have been beautiful on New Year's Eve, and two, a couple of these colors are mixed with white, so they are a little bit harder to formulate, but also the darker colors and the blendability of them. Speaking of New Year's Eve, the reason I said that this was going to be my makeup on New Year's Eve is because my New Year's Eve was actually one of the worst days I had last year. And since I want this to be kind of like we're just two friends sitting and talking, I mean, obviously I don't know you, but it's like we're on FaceTime or something. So basically what happened was I was planning on going to this bar downtown that I had never been to before, and from the pictures online it just looked super cool. And I had texted a couple of people that were my friends, or I guess hindsight 2020, I thought were my friends, if they wanted to meet me there and hang out with me. And I asked them if they had plans already, and if they did, it was totally fine. Like, they did not have to feel obligated to change their plans just to come hang out with me. And I want to make it very clear, it was only in the circumstance that if they had already had plans. But they all said that they didn't have plans. I even spoke to one of my friends in person after I gave them a haircut. My job, I am a full-time hairstylist. I do hair for a living. The following days after I asked them if they, you know, wanted to hang out, if it was something that they wanted to do, I didn't hear anything from them. And, you know, I did think it was a little bit weird, but I was like, you know, people have things going on, they have lives, you know, that's totally fine. You know, maybe they just forgot. So I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And nobody shows up. I don't hear anything from anyone. I don't even get so much as a text message. It was awful. And so, of course, I end up spending the rest of the night at home. The people that I thought were my friends completely ghosted me and abandoned me, and it was just really terrible. Well, one of the girls that I invited was on Instagram posting about how she was at a completely different bar that I wasn't invited to, might I add, and how she was having so much fun and she couldn't imagine spending the night without her friend group and all this stuff. And not only did I think it was just a little bit tone deaf, especially considering I still followed her. I'm not usually one to cry about things like that. Like, yes, I get my feelings hurt, but I'm definitely not the kind of person to just burst into tears like that. So it did really kind of suck. The bum nail is really good for picking up the shimmers. One of the reasons that I was genuinely hurt by it, I already had a really bad Christmas, and I was like, oh, well, New Year's Eve can't be any worse. Girl, I was so wrong about that. It was just really disappointing. So I have decided that I'm going to cut those people off. It is a new year and we do not have time for people to be wasting our time and exhausting all of our energy, especially people that don't appreciate you as a person. I think it's really, really, really important for people to not only protect themselves, but protect their energy. And when people are in a position where they're trying to take advantage of that, I think it is perfectly okay and perfectly normal to nip that in the bud and cut it off at the source and no longer allow those people in your life. I am a big advocate of cutting people off. You will not continue to waste my time, and I refuse to allow you to continue to waste my time. But then again, I did not come here to talk about how terrible my New Year's Eve was. And how was your New Year's Eve? How was your Christmas? How was your end of the year last year? And if nobody comments, I'll take it as you had the most amazing time that you don't want to tell me because you feel like it would hurt my feelings. I also have some really fun, really cool themed videos planned coming up here very, very soon. And I'm going to be tapping back into some makeup styles that I haven't done in a while. I also am interested in maybe playing some, like streaming some games. So if you're interested in that too, let me know. And maybe even possibly doing makeup inspired by the game. Of course, let me know if you're interested in that as well. Got the eyeshadows applied. They look really, really, really good, actually. They applied the same. There was no issue with like the blendability, at least in my opinion. Some people would probably say, oh girl, your look's not blended. I don't care. I didn't notice any difference with applying the shadow as well, whether I had primer on or not, but we will see how well it lasts throughout the day. The eye with primer and the eye without. I'm gonna go ahead and do my eyeliner and my lashes and my lips, and then I will come back in just a second. So I have finished my eyeliner, done my mascara, highlighted my moles, and have done my lipstick. So I'm going to, septum was lopsided, zoom you guys in for the close-up. This is what the eyeshadow looks like after being freshly finished. The time is currently 8:08 a.m. and so I will see you guys in 8 hours. Alright, so I am back from a very long day at work. It's been just about 8 hours. It is currently 3:57. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom you in so you can see how the shadow performed throughout the day. Remember, we're just focusing on the shadows themselves, not anything else. I know I have lines for my glasses, all kinds of stuff. So as you can see, this is how the shadows performed. The chrome shadows pretty much stayed exactly where I placed them. There is a little bit of transfer, as you can see on my right eye here, on the upper part of the lid, and that's just due to the shape of my eyes. My eyes are hooded, and my right eye is more hooded than my left eye, which causes transfer of shimmer, and I believe there's even some on my left eye. Shadows do oxidize, same with any other makeup product. That's just something that they do, and so you can tell that the shades are just ever so slightly different from when they're originally applied. Aside from the two things that I mentioned, which are natural, it happens depending on your eye shape. Eyeshadows oxidize, makeup oxidizes. It's just how it is. I'd say these shadows performed better than my standard expectations for eyeshadows. which really aren't much, honestly. I just want the eyeshadow to be opaque, I want it to be blendable, I want it to be pretty, I want it to stay where it's put, I don't want it to be super sheer. When I apply an eyeshadow, I want it to work like an eyeshadow, and I want it to work how it's intended to work. All in all, I am very impressed with this palette. It exceeded my expectations for sure, of the shadows that I have used before and the way that they have performed. I don't see any creasing, I don't see any color disappearing. They worked perfect, beautifully, exactly what I wanted. I'm really excited to get in here and start playing around with some of the other colors in this palette, especially this green shade here at the top. This one, Green Mill. I have the palette upside down so that I don't blind you with the mirror. As well as some of the other palettes and some of the other shades in those palettes. This is just the Haunted Europe one. It's the first one I grabbed. And again, I really do want to give a special thank you to Nomad Cosmetics for reaching out to me after they saw my video. I am just over the moon about it. They did tell me that Ghost Town USA seems to be the favorite right now, and I can definitely see why, because baby, those colors. Within the next few days, I definitely will be dipping into the other 3 palettes that I purchased. My hair wanted to go with it. With all that being said, do I recommend the Chicago Speakeasy palette after seeing how these colors perform? I definitely do. I have no doubt that any of the colors in the palette are going to perform the same way, have the same payout, have the same blendability. I am very excited to see what other looks I can come up with just this one palette. Like I said, I definitely will be dipping into the other palettes very, very soon. So if you want to see that, stay tuned for that, because it is coming as fast as I can record them and put them out. With that, I very much appreciate you hanging out with me today. Remember, do not let other people rob you of your good energy. Do not waste your energy on terrible people. Do not waste your energy on people who are not considerate of you. So again, definitely let me know how your holidays were down in the comments. If you don't want to, that's okay. If you have any suggestions for any looks you'd like to see from me, leave those down in the comments as well. I look forward to sitting down and talking with you guys again very soon. When I say very soon, I mean very, very soon. Oh, I don't think I ever talked about my video schedule. I've been kind of tinkering around with a couple ideas on what I want my video schedule to be, and I think I have decided on Sundays and Thursdays. Obviously, the day that this video is posted will be a Thursday. It will always be posted at 5 p.m. CST. CST is Central Time, for those of you that may not know. So my next video will be on Sunday, January 12th. But anyway, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. If you like this video and you want to see more videos just like it, consider subscribing, because that would be dope. Anyway, that is all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you next time. Farewell.